So what is the solution? First, we will apply what is known as the 1-minute rule. That rule tells us that if a task takes just 1 minute, then we must complete it there and then. Too often, we put off tasks because we find them stressful. If it means emailing a client who is traditionally a little grumpy, for instance, then we might put off doing so because we don't want to have to deal with them. But these tasks aren't going to go away. And if it takes just 1 minute, then it's going to realistically interrupt your day or prevent you from doing the real work. So just do it. This is a fantastic habit to get into. An exception, caveat to this rule is that you shouldn't let 1-minute tasks pull you out of your deep work. Switching between tasks takes a lot of mental energy, meaning that productivity is always lost. The solution? Simply shut off notifications and other distractions to make sure that you will not even know about the task until you unplug. 5 tips for avoiding procrastination. Procrastination is the bane of working from home. If you're someone who works at home regularly, then you absolutely need to learn to avoid the temptation to spend the first hour and a half doing nothing at all. Otherwise, you're suddenly working 5-hour days instead of 8-hour days, and that's something your employers and clients are going to notice. In this presentation, we're going to look at 5 tips for crushing procrastination. Accountability. The problem is that there is no accountability for procrastination. This is why it is worse for those that work from home versus those that work in an office. In an office, people are looking over your shoulder, but here you can do whatever you like. One solution is to create stakes for yourself. An easy way to do that? Email your client and tell them that you're going to finish X amount of work and send it to them daily. Suddenly, the option to sit on your thumbs for the first few days on a project is gone. Work in a coffee shop. This won't always be possible depending on your circumstances, but when it is, working in a coffee shop or library is a great way to add some social pressure to your day. You can't sit playing Sonic the Hedgehog now because people will think you're odd. Speaking of which, coffee works great too. Set rewards. Try setting yourself small rewards for accomplishing set amounts of work each day. For example, if you finish the first 2,000 words of an essay you're writing, only then can you give yourself a cup of coffee. Make the project fun. Often, we put things off simply because we don't want to do them. This is why procrastination tends to rear its ugly head more when we're doing particularly dull and dry tasks. The solution is to find a way to make that task more interesting. For example, you might find a way to gamify it, or you may just find a way to add more creativity to the project. Rest properly. Finally, make sure you have some proper downtime and fun during your time off. Often we procrastinate because there are other things we want to do. If you never have time to play video games, read books, or browse Facebook, then that will start creeping into your work. So actually enjoy your time off, and you should find this changes. How to create a highly productive work environment in your home office. If you're working from home, you need to think carefully about the environment you're going to be working in. You're now not only responsible for the work you do, but also for your surroundings. This is important, seeing as the space you work in can drastically impact on your ability to stay focused. Now you have the opportunity to create a space that is perfectly conducive to your work style and that will help you to feel inspired, motivated, and comfortable. But too many people will find that the exact opposite thing happens instead. They end up working in squalor and feeling demotivated, cluttered, and distracted as a result. Listen up, and we're going to go over how to get this right and create a home office that you can't wait to sit down to work in. Eudaimonia Machine. The Eudaimonia Machine is a hypothetical architectural project described in Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. Here, Newport explains what the perfect space would be like in order to encourage focus and productivity. One of the key features of this space was a gallery of sorts, including inspiring works and figures. Let's say that you're a writer then. This space might include a typewriter owned by a famous writer, a lot of impressive-looking books, or a quote from Shakespeare on a plaque. The idea of this is to help put you in the right headspace, to help you feel inspired and excited to get to work. Comfort. Another important thing for a home office is comfort. When you are uncomfortable, whether that's because the seat is awkward or the desk is the wrong height, this steals attention away from whatever you're doing. Invest in a comfortable chair, an ergonomic keyboard, and anything else that will improve your comfort. Physiology. Physiological factors play a big part in our mental state. Things like the level of lighting, the amount of background noise, or even the temperature can all impact on mood and well-being. Make sure you have precise control over these things. Even smells can affect the release of neurotransmitters that impact on mood. Tools. Of course, the right tools will play a big role in helping you to be more productive, as will creating a work zone that will make everything you need easily accessible from your one spot. How to create a strict routine when working from home. There are many things that you may find you struggle to come to terms with when you start working from home. This is a big shift in the way that you work and approach work, and the result is that many people struggle to adapt. One big example is that the onus is now very much on you to decide how you wish to work. That means that you need to think about how you want your workflow to work, what hours you're going to work, and which tasks you're going to prioritize. In this presentation, we're going to look at how to create a routine that will help you maximize your productivity and get more done. Be strict about downtime. The first tip that many people don't recognize is that it is just as important to be strict about downtime as it is to be strict about your actual work. That's critical because it is during your downtime that you're going to recharge for the day ahead. If you allow your work to creep into the rest of your day, then you're going to find that you end up failing to recharge your batteries properly. Thus, when you do start working, you will find that you have less energy and your mind is other places. Enjoy flexibility. With that said, it is entirely up to you how and when you work, depending on the nature of your work. In other words, if you're someone who works best in the mornings, then there's no longer anything stopping you from working from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Alternatively, you can work an extra 1.5 hours every day and then take Fridays off. See what works best for you. Create accountability. Something else to consider is whether you have the ability to force yourself to be productive or whether you need an external form of accountability to make sure that you stay on course. Rather than create false stakes, setting punishments for yourself, etc., you can achieve this simply by changing the way you work with your boss or clients. For example, tell them that you will send in your work every single day. Suddenly, you have no option to procrastinate or to work slowly because they expect to see something at the end of every single working day. This can add a lot of discipline to your work process. How to deal with loneliness and social isolation when you work from home. If you have made the decision to work from home, then there is a good chance that you're someone who considers themselves to be an introvert. As such, you are probably more than happy to shut yourself away and to work on things you find rewarding. But even for an introvert, this can sometimes become a little lonely and isolating. And meanwhile, if you're an extrovert who has been forced to work from home through no choice of their own, it can be excruciating. In this presentation, we'll look how to deal with the loneliness and social isolation that comes with working from home. Find other ways to socialize. The first and most important way to ensure you don't go mad working from home is to try to find other ways to get your stimulation and engagement. For instance, if you're stuck at home with your family, you can take lunch with them in order to make the isolation a little more bearable. In fact, this is a huge upgrade. Instead of being forced to work alongside people you don't really know all that well, you are now spending time with people you actually love. You can also get on a video call with a friend or coworker using Zoom or Skype. For group video calls, a great app you could use is called House Party, which is available for iOS and Android devices. Work together on projects. If you're self-employed, then finding ways to work with others, especially friends, can make a big difference. Collaborating on a project with someone you get on well with is extremely rewarding, and it's a fantastic way to strengthen your friendship. Go out. Again, this isn't always possible, but where you can, why not go outside and work? Working from home doesn't have to mean working from home in the literal sense. All it really means is working not at the office. So why not take your laptop to a cafe and get some work done there? Or alternatively, why not work on a park bench and enjoy the sun on your face? How to deal with small tasks and prevent overwhelm. Often, it is not the biggest tasks that create the most stress for us. Big tasks loom over us, but they are simple and easy to understand. Instead, then, it is the smaller tasks that typically leave us stressed and overwhelmed. More specifically, it is when lots of small tasks build up that we can often find ourselves feeling snowed under and unsure of where to start. General advice is to tackle the biggest and most ugly project first in a working day. This is referred to as eating the frog. This is good advice as it means you can focus on providing value and getting work done, rather than getting bogged down with administrative tasks. But if it means that you never quite cross those tasks off, you end up with a building pressure. There are emails to send, bills to pay, letters to open, broken web pages to fix, and all of this plays constantly on your mind, even during your time off. This is what Tim Ferriss refers to as an open loop. That is any task that remains incomplete and meanwhile causes you stress and anxiety. So what is the solution? First, we will apply what is known as the 1-minute rule. That rule tells us that if a task takes just 1 minute, then we must complete it there and then. Too often, we put off tasks because we find them stressful. If it means emailing a client who is traditionally a little grumpy, for instance, then we might put off doing so because we don't want to have to deal with them. But these tasks aren't going to go away. And if it takes just 1 minute, then it's going to realistically interrupt your day or prevent you from doing the real work. So just do it. This is a fantastic habit to get into. An exception, caveat to this rule is that you shouldn't let 1-minute tasks pull you out of your deep work. Switching between tasks takes a lot of mental energy, meaning that productivity is always lost. The solution? Simply shut off notifications and other distractions to make sure that you will not even know about the task until you unplug. Finally, any tasks that take longer than 1 minute should be added to a to-do list. You can then set aside a designated time to work through these every day. How to enter and stay in a flow state when working from home. Have you ever been working on a project when suddenly you find yourself falling into a perfect rhythm? After facing serious procrastination and resistance, all of that seems to fall away, and you find yourself in a perfect state of focus. That's when the real work gets done. Without distractions, you are able to stay on task and plow through what you need to get done. But there's more to it than that too. According to psychologists, flow states allow us to perform our very best work on a consistent basis. We can tap into reserves of productivity and even creativity that are normally inaccessible. So, how do you get into this state? Let's take a look at some strategies and tips that we know to work. Rest. The first tip is to ensure that you start the day in the best way possible. That is to say, that you shouldn't be overtired or stressed. Make sure that during your downtime, you rest properly so that you can return to work feeling recharged and effective. Sensory deprivation. Our brain has two attentional networks. There is one that is responsible for our internally directed attention, what we choose to focus on, and one that is dictated by external cues that grab and hold our attention. In order to stay on task, then, you need to block out these things that would normally try to pull you away from work. That means a level of sensory deprivation, which you can often accomplish by listening to music or white noise on headphones. Using a large monitor can also help, as this will take up more of your field of view. Inspiration. What many people don't realize is that their productivity is determined more so by their emotion than by logic. In other words, you will find it easiest to be productive when you actually feel interested in and excited by the work that you're required to do. A great tip is to look at examples of the kind of work you intend to do in order to see how it looks best. Just start. Finally, a last tip is to simply start doing whatever it is you need to do. Don't worry if you don't feel inspiration right away, or if you find yourself resisting your need to work. Just plow through and keep going, and eventually you'll fall into a groove. The science behind your device and instant gratification. In this presentation, you will learn how devices are affecting us with instant gratification. Much ongoing research is starting to show the impact of electronic devices on our brains. Not only does it affect our psychology and emotionally, but it can also have a serious impact on our biology and lead to addiction. Scientists have been looking at the relationship between the utilization of smartphones and our brains. It is well documented that phone notifications and likes on social media trigger the production of what is called dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of instant gratification. While it brings that sense of pleasure, it can also create an addiction to electronic devices in the long run. Our phone is a way to escape reality, and just like drugs or gambling, it provides us with instant gratification and can lead to addiction. In a survey that targeted over 1,200 teenagers, 50% of them admitted that they were addicted to their phones. But what is really interesting is that another survey with over 3,000 adults showed that 86% of them were constantly checking their phone's email and social media, which led to stress. While 65% of people surveyed indicated that it is important to go dark, disconnect from their device, in order to help their mental health. Only 28% of them say they actually do it. This just shows how addicted we are to technology. Not only do we develop an unhealthy relationship with our device, but the behavior can also lead to serious mental illness. Research is now demonstrating that smartphone usage is correlated with emotional imbalance, chronic stress, and depression. The best approach to improving your relationship with your device is to find ways to unplug and allow yourself to be aware of your behavior when interacting with social media. Seek to experience positive emotions and avoid spending time and energy on posts or videos that make you feel sad, angry, or anxious. Take the time to make a list of activities you enjoy that do not require an electronic device. For example, cooking, bowling, or even coloring. By occupying your time with activities that you enjoy, you are less likely to interact on social media or stream a series. If you are experiencing difficulties distancing yourself from your phone, do not hesitate to seek help from family. The secret ingredient to improve your attention. In this presentation, you will learn how you can improve your attention. Attention is becoming a very rare quality. We are confronted with an overwhelming amount of information through our day. In addition, our society seems to appreciate people who can multitask in the workplace. This constant stimulation of our brain can lead us to be confused about how we can improve our attention. Yet, there you can add a key ingredient to your life that is very effective in bringing back your attention to the present moment and mostly to something more productive. The ingredient is awareness. Some might say that awareness and attention are the same things, but studies have shown that it isn't. We can focus our attention on something throughout our day without being aware of it. Here's an example. Have you ever found yourself opening Facebook and then all of a sudden you realize that you've spent an hour scrolling through the various posts? While you focus all your attention on Facebook, you completely lost the awareness of time. Awareness is the ability to recognize what you are doing and experiencing at a specific moment. It is, in some ways, an enhancement to attention. By being aware, you are able to make a decision if you want to spend your attention in that area or not. Practicing awareness can be very simple. You should set your smartwatch vibration or your phone alarm to notify you every 30 minutes. That notification will be your moment of awareness. When you receive that notification, focus your attention on yourself. What are you experiencing? Are you spending your time and energy in an area that is productive for you? Do you need to redirect your attention to something else? By practicing moments of awareness, it will become easier for you to be self-aware in the present moment. You will likely catch yourself being aware of your behavior before your alarm goes off. Top 3 ways to change your relationship with social media. In this tutorial, you will learn 3 things you can do to change your relationship with social media. Social media is taking over many people's lives. It is now seen as this toxic relationship that can impact one's life very quickly if it gets out of hand. Here are the top 3 ways to change today. Assign offline time. Many people do not have limits or boundaries when it comes to social media. Setting healthy boundaries is essential to improve our relationship with Facebook or Instagram. You can do so by identifying a specific time when you are offline, a time when you believe it is best not to look at social media. For example, you can decide that the first 2 hours of your day are offline. That way, you don't have to let social media influence the mood you're in that day. It may take some days to adapt, and don't forget, research says that it takes 21 days to form a habit. Put your phone aside. When you are interacting with other people, whether it's at a family dinner or hanging out with friends, make a point to put your phone away. Social media can quickly pull you into a rabbit hole where you will completely forget your surroundings and realize that you are not enjoying the present moment with people in your circle. This will increase the quality of interaction you have with others and also bring more enjoyment. Clean up your feed. It is incredible the roller coaster of emotions that social media can lead you on. Take the time to be aware of how you feel when you see or read a post. Make a point to unfollow any individuals that make you feel bad. You have the right to choose what you want to see, and that is a powerful decision that could change your relationship with social media to be more positive and empowering. Social media doesn't have to be a difficult relationship. Never forget that you are in control, and you can decide when you interact with social media and what you want to see. In the end, the experience you have with social media platforms is a result of the choices you've made. 3 ways to disconnect and improve your sleep. In this tutorial, you will learn 3 effective ways to improve your sleep. While the constant screen time is stimulating our brain, it can become very hard to shut it down. If you find yourself having a difficult time sleeping, try the following 3 ways to disconnect and improve your sleep. Practice offline hours. According to research, many devices have a screen light that can impact negatively the production of melatonin in your body. Melatonin is the hormone that regulates your sleep cycle. For that reason, experts recommend that we go offline 1 to 2 hours before going to bed. Change your bedtime routine by bringing something new, like reading a book, taking a bath, journaling, or meditating. Another useful approach is to charge your phone in a space outside the bedroom. That way you are less likely to check your phone before bed. Practice the present moment. The phone is keeping our brain active by stimulating the production of dopamine. Dopamine is not what you want to be producing just before bed. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that is connected to motivation, pleasure, and excitement. Our interaction on the phone has a tendency to entertain and stimulate us. Information is constantly bombarding our brain, and it becomes practically impossible to shut it down. If you have the tendency to check your phone at night, it can make it even harder to go back to sleep. During the day, learn to practice being in the present moment by distancing yourself from your phone. Instead of being interrupted by your phone, turn the notification off and be present in what you are doing or experiencing at that moment. The more you will practice it during the day, the easier it will be to disconnect from your phone at night or before bed. Practice emotional awareness. Have you ever tried to sleep angry or anxious? If so, you know that it is practically impossible to sleep if you are experiencing intense emotions. Unfortunately, what we watch or read on our devices have a big potential to trigger emotional disturbance. Learn to shift your attention to something more positive when you are feeling down, frustrated, or even anxious.